Welcome, I'm Marc David, founder of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. We are in the Psychology of Eating podcast. I'm with Lee today. Welcome, Lee.
Hi. Thank you.
Hi. So, here's how it works. We haven't had the opportunity to interact before until now, and we get to have a session together. And the idea is to just help you move forward in the brief amount of time that we have. So if you could wave your magic wand and have whatever you want with food and body, what would that be for you?
I've been looking forward to this question. I think for me, the thing would be to not have it take up so much of my bandwidth, to not be thinking about it so much. I love what I've heard you say before about how much of our energy and, potential is taken up with that stuff. And I feel like it's been happening my whole life. And I'd really love to be way more free of that. I'd like to be lighter. I'm not hugely focused on weight and numbers, but I'd like to be, I'm near my heaviest I've ever been, and I'd like to be nearer, quite a bit lighter in weight. I'd like to feel more accepting of my body as she is and in the moment. And I feel like I've made some real gains in that, but I'd like to be even more so, I think. And just to be happy with what I eat and how I eat. Yeah.
Okay, so let me see if I can reflect what you just said. So you could wave your magic wand, have whatever you wanted. You wouldn't be thinking about it all, food and body, so much. You would be lighter because you've been getting closer at your heaviest for a while. But at the same time, it also sounds like you want to accept your body as it is.
Yeah. Which,
just take notice, those are two desires that seem to be in the opposite direction.
Yes. Yeah.
I want to be lighter, and I also want to accept my body as it is. So, and I understand that's completely reasonable. So where are you based?
I'm in New Zealand.
Okay. And in an ideal universe, how much weight would you lose?
Quite a lot. We do kilos here, so about 20 kilos.
And when was the last time you were 20 kilos less?
About 9 years ago.
How did you get to that weight? Was it just dieting, exercise?
It was a combination of things. It was a health scare and a really strong desire to do it. I've never been a dieter as such. I've never believed that was a good idea, but I have done some weird sort of deprivation stuff at the same time, and have you heard of Dr. Libby Weaver? She's written some books. She works in New Zealand. Yeah. So her book, which talks about all the different aspects of weight. I mean, also probably actually the IPE coaching was a big help too. So I really just focused on things like eating less, better eating rhythm during the day. I've kind of discovered over the years that my body likes kind of not a lot of carbs. I got myself completely off sugar. It seemed to make a big difference. I just was very focused on it for a while, and how I've always been more focused on health than weight. So I was really focused on health and managed to succeed in a way that I hadn't before. I actually lost 36 kilos. Yeah.
So why do you think the weight came back on?
A few things. My mother died. Yeah, and she had a pretty drawn out kind of dying. Yeah, and it wasn't very nice. It was unusual and not a very nice process for her and for the rest of us. And we didn't know if she'd make it or not for most of about 3 months while she was in ICU. So that was really stressful, and it was like I just lost that kind of inner strength. I've never felt so much inner strength as I had during that time that I succeeded at losing weight. So that was one thing. That was a big thing, I think. And we went on an overseas holiday, and it was really to a Pacific island. It was really hard to eat the way that I had been eating. And once I got back on the bread and back on the sugar, I just couldn't seem to get myself back off it again. Yeah.
So how old are you now?
60 last week.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank
Happy
you.
birthday.
Yeah, it feels good.
All right, you've been alive 6 decades now. What a good thing.
I know.
Yeah, it's not so easy these days. That's a nice landmark. So
Yeah.
are you in a relationship, married, kids?
Yes, I'm married. Yeah, to Nigel. Lovely husband, lovely marriage. Yeah.
And
got
how
two
does he
kids.
feel about your weight?
He loves me whatever weight I am, and he's been a big part of me feeling more accepting. He loves my curves. In fact, he likes me being on the larger side, but he is happy with whatever weight I am, and he wants me to be healthy and well. So he's very supportive. Yeah,
That must feel good.
it does. It really does. Yeah.
So when you had lost the 36 kilos, eventually it came back on with your mom's, dying process and then going traveling. How long did you stay at that weight loss that you had? Was it
About 2 or 3 years. I was maintaining it. I think I went a little bit the other way though. I came across the word orthorexia. I think it was about the time I was studying with IPN, and went, oh my goodness, that's me. It's like asking if there's any sugar in the dressing in the restaurant and being really, really particular about everything. And so I think that might have been part of the issue as well. So that when I couldn't maintain it, it was just just all went out the window. But yeah, I was maintaining it and feeling really good.
How's your health these days?
Pretty good, I think, for 60. I don't take any medication. I take a little bit of melatonin and occasional sleeping pills for sleeping. I have an underactive thyroid, but it's not being medicated. It's just and I have an issue with low iron. That was a family thing, sort of a mystery thing that I've never been able to figure out. And I have lipedema, and that's been getting a bit worse lately. Usually that's been fairly well managed, but I noticed it's got worse, and also because I got a bit heavier over this past winter. I tend to put on weight in the winter. I do have a bit of seasonal affective disorder. I get a bit low energy in the winter. I find it hard to stay off foods that don't help.
So how long do you think you want to live?
Oh, I don't know, another 20, 30 years, maybe, as long as I'm healthy and well. Yeah.
Okay. So let's say you get to live another 30 healthy years. I like that goal. What do you think you're going to do in those 30 years? That's going to make those 30 years worth it.
That's going to be what I'm going to do, just in general.
Yeah, like what are you going to do with your life? Like, who do you want to be when you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s?
A wise woman. I really have had a bit of a feeling of being a frustrated healer all my life. Like, it feels like I'm only now coming into that kind of phase of my life where I feel like I'm ready to offer my gifts to those healing gifts to the world. So I see myself doing that. I'm a Qigong teacher, so I see myself still doing Qigong and teaching Qigong, and of course that's really good for my own health and wellness. So enjoying my family. We've just had our first grandchild. Hopefully there's some more. We've got 5 children in our blended family. Looking forward to that, being grandma, and maybe for other people as well as our immediate family.
So what does a wise woman mean to you? That's the first thing you said when I asked you kind of who you want to be when you grow up in these next 30 years, and you said a wise woman. I think I know what you mean. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I think it means being there for other people, in a kind of calm, steady way, you know. I just made a friend recently who's got a little baby, and she's from Vietnam and she doesn't have any family around, and I'm really enjoying the supporting her. So that kind of thing, giving back to the community, sharing what I've learned in all these many decades and ups and downs. Yeah.
Good for you. So on a day-to-day basis, when it comes to you and food, how would you describe your relationship with food?
I describe it as, and it's been my whole life, I've had phases. So I have a phase, I have a healthy phase, and then I have a kind of a phase, I've fallen off the wagon phase, basically. I know the things that work for me now. I've known them actually for quite a long time. When I look back, I remember as a teenager even knowing that bread and cheese wasn't doing me any good. But actually, we were often a bit short of food in our house, so it was sort of like just, you know, eating that. So, you know, I have phases where it feels good and it's easy, and I'm in one of those at the moment for about a month, having heard some really good speakers online that inspired me again, or maybe the time was just right. I wasn't feeling good coming into spring here. So, yeah, I tend to have these phases, and that's the bit that I'm really interested in figuring out more, because when I'm in a good phase, healthy phase, I feel like that's going to last forever. And when I'm in a unhealthy phase, I feel like that's going to last forever, or that I've got to get back to the healthy phase, but it just feels too hard.
What does a healthy phase look like for you? Describe that.
So at the moment, that's I mostly just eat 2 meals a day. I've never been a big breakfast person. I've tried at different times. Although having said that, when I was kept that weight off, I was having smoothies in the morning, but I tend to only have them in the summer. So mostly just protein and vegetables, to be honest, and good fats. I'm a bit of a nutrition nerd, and I really, like I say, discovered what I think works for me. And so I discovered I need to have protein at every meal, and I eat meat, even though I really enjoy vegetarian food. And I don't eat dairy or gluten or sugar or alcohol or caffeine.
So that's a healthy phase. That's a healthy phase. What's the unhealthy phase look like?
A lot more bread and sugar. Yeah, and a bit more chaotic eating. Like one of the things that I did for many years was not eat enough during the day and then just have to eat all the food. What's that thing you say? All the food in the evening, you know. Yeah, just couldn't get enough food in the evening to satiate me. Yeah, I did that for a lot of years.
So would you consider yourself an all or nothing kind of person?
Yeah, I do when it comes to food, and when it comes to sugar. Yeah, I do have these. I'm a Libra, and I'm sort of a, yeah, and I can be a perfectionist as well. Yes. Yeah, but I'm trying to give it up.
So that's what catches my attention, really, this all or nothing, healthy or unhealthy, because when we go from one extreme to the other, and you know, Libra's a sign of the scale. Libra likes balance. Yeah. And balance doesn't mean one end of the scale. You're eating no sugar. Yeah. Therefore, you're eating healthy. Oh, you're eating sugar, therefore you should eat a lot of sugar and not take care of yourself. So that's going to the extremes. Have you ever experimented with, you know, what if I had some sugar?
Yeah, I have, and I feel like this, even though it's only been a month, I feel like I don't know if it's this birthday and everything, but I feel like it's a bit different. Some of the things I've been learning about nervous system regulation, and I feel like, you know, over all this time I learn more and more all the time about why I do stuff I do, and why, you know, what that kind of food does for me. Like I use it to relax me, and I use it when I'm tired, that kind of thing. And so this time I am being more open to not being so fussy. Like I was at a party on Saturday night and I had some cheese and I really enjoyed it, but then I had, stuffed up nose the next day, and I had a piece of shortbread because everybody was having the shortbread at the Scottish party, and that was all right. But I did notice then I ate a bag of crisps the next day. Like I had the first sort of feeling of I have to, wanting to binge. I just didn't eat much, but I ate something. And so I just noticed that when you say all or nothing, I feel like I am about certain foods that if I start eating them, then the desire comes back. So that's why I'm a bit all or nothing with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So a few things occur to me.
Mm.
There's a part of you that it seems when it comes to nutrition, you describe yourself as a nutrition nerd. I totally relate. I'm one as well.
Yeah.
A lot of times when we are nutrition nerds, one of the traps we can fall into is that we want to get it right.
Yeah. I get
We're looking
that.
to get things right. And we figure out, okay, here's what works for me. And I need to get it right. And also along the way, I might learn some new things and I might be even righter than I was the last time.
Yeah.
So that I think gets in your way.
Yeah.
Because when you said at the beginning, when I asked you if you could wave your magic wand and you mentioned, I don't want to be thinking about these things so much.
Yeah.
So part of it is, I think the part of you that wants to get it right is always on sort of alert.
Yeah.
You're always on alert for, did I eat the right thing? Did I eat the right thing? Oh, I shouldn't eat that. And you notice, yeah, okay, I had the shortbread, and now the next day I'm all of a sudden eating other things that I don't normally wish to be eating. So I love taking care of myself. I completely understand the desire. And I completely understand that there's going to be times, when we, dip our toes in some of the, forbidden foods, it's easier to want more, for sure.
Mm.
So the challenge is, if in our mind we're defining it as right or wrong, good or bad, there's going to be just a little bit of punishment when you get it wrong. It's going to be a little bit of, there's going to be a little bit of self-deprecation for you. I think it's more subtle for you, but you're wanting to get it right. And instead of getting it right, how about if you look at it like you're on a lifelong journey with food and your body, and it's always teaching you. So it's not about getting it right so much as it's learning about what your body is saying and doing your best to take care of yourself. Like, it sounds like a value of yours is health.
Yeah.
So if my value is health, I'm going to measure certain things against, do I think this is healthy for me or not?
Yeah.
And it becomes problematic if I've determined that sugar is not healthy for me, but I eat sugar. The part of me that thinks, oh, I got it wrong, often contributes to the part of me that then wants more.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's a little bit subtle, but instead of aspiring to getting it right and aspiring to being in perfect harmony, how about if you just aspire to what your values are, which is, I want to do the healthiest things I can. I want to feel good. I want to feel lighter. One of the ways to feel lighter, other than to lose weight, is to just be lighter in ourselves and not let the thoughts weigh us down, so to speak. So oftentimes the thought process can be heavy. So what would the wise woman in you say to you? How would the wise woman in you counsel you about your relationship with food?
Yeah, that I'm doing okay, and not don't worry about it.
Yes, yes, there you go. Don't worry about it. You know, it's what's interesting to me is that you're in a long-term loving relationship where you have a partner, a husband, a man who loves you as you are.
Yeah.
And what a beautiful thing. Like that's just something to be so grateful for.
Oh, it's been so healing for me as well. It's 17 years now, I think, or a bit more, and it's been so healing for my relationship with my body. Yeah.
So that's amazing. And that's something to get nourishment from. That's something to get energy from. That's something to feel lighter about. And yes, you still have your values around being healthy. And there's a place where don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Meaning you do the best you can.
Yeah.
You're like, really, you're doing the best you can. When I asked you to describe how's your health these days, for someone in her 60s, not so bad.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. Yeah.
So you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Part of our challenge when it comes to weight is we've been very conditioned to automatically associate the thought, I'm overweight with, therefore I'm not healthy. The reality is that is not a good connection, because you can be perfect weight and be unhealthy. I know plenty of people who have like the ideal body and the ideal shape and they're fit and they have a disease or they get cancer or they get heart disease or whatever it is. So weight doesn't guarantee you anything. For sure, in the extremes, extremely thin, extremely overweight, then you put yourself at risk when you get into the extremes. There was something scientists were calling the obesity paradox for a number of years, where everybody kept saying, well, if you're overweight, then you're going to die sooner. And it turns out that people who were considered overweight lived a little bit longer. And there's a wonderful book called Health at Every Size that kind of breaks through the illusion that just because you think, I think, somebody thinks you're overweight, but by what standard they're measuring, we don't even know, that therefore you're at risk and you're unhealthy. So it's a slippery slope. And the proof is in how are you doing? How are you feeling? How's your body doing? Yeah, we could always do healthy things for ourselves. I just don't want you to get trapped in the belief that unless I lose 20 or 30 kilos or something, then I can't be healthy. We don't know that that's true. We really don't.
The only thing, I just noticed some anxiety coming in about my lipedema, because that is affected by weight, and I have been having more pain, like keeping me awake at night, and my one leg pain. And I think it's because I put on some weight over the winter. So, I do have that factor coming into that. I just noticed, there's some anxiety about that if I put on more weight or I don't lose weight, that I'm going to have more problems with my legs. And people have problems with their mobility because it's progressive,
Yes. So then it becomes a dialogue with yourself of, okay, I have this medical concern. I have lipedema. It's affecting my legs. It's affecting pain levels. And can weight loss help with that? Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
So then it becomes how important that is for you.
Yeah.
To
Actually,
go.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, well, actually, when you say that, I think actually it's more not gaining weight that is probably most important. I mean, some weight loss may help, but it's actually more not gaining weight and continuing this good self-care, the good things that help my lymphatic system to work and my legs better. So, yeah.
Yes, I like the idea for you of the term self-care
Yeah.
as opposed to weight loss.
Yeah, I feel like it feels like it's taken me maybe 50 years to learn how to do it, to take good care of myself. I've spent many, many decades not taking care of myself. My father died when I was young. My mother was kind of absent because she was trying to deal with that and work and everything. And I looked after myself and my younger brother and sister at a really young age, like from 10 years old. I was taking care, cooking meals and taking care of the family and doing my own washing and all kinds of things like that. So I felt like it took me many decades to learn to just take care of myself, to wear enough warm clothing, and now I've gone completely the other way. Doing everything. Yeah. Maybe a bit too much.
So, that's a beautiful thing. Self-care is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And it becomes uncaring when self-care becomes uncaring, when it becomes perfectionism. It
Yeah.
becomes uncaring when you're holding a stick over your head, and if you don't do this, you're bad. And if you do this, you're good. It defeats the purpose of self-care, because you also want to care for yourself, your heart. You want to care for your imperfections. And it's harder to do self-care when we are standing like a guardian at our own gate, ready to punish ourselves and say, you're a bad girl because you didn't do self-care, or you should be worried because you didn't do self-care.
Yeah, I love that thing you just said, hit home about self-care for our imperfections. Yeah, that's
So self-care should be something you can, for the most part, relax into. There's certain things we have to do for self-care that are, take a little more effort.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things you could do for self-care that just come a little bit more natural to you.
Yeah.
And there's always that voice that you said when I asked what would the wise woman in you say to you, like, don't worry so much.
Yeah.
Because I think it's the worry part of you that gets to you.
Yeah.
And the net result of any diet, of any nutritional system, ultimately is death. No matter how perfectly you eat, no matter how little sugar you have, you will die. We will all die, no matter how organic your diet is. Whether it's vegan or paleo, I don't care. We're going to die. So, yeah, there's some things to worry about, because it's not a fun process necessarily. And really, we learn, okay, between the time I'm born and the time I die, I'm an eater. And I have a body, and what do I do about that? How do I care for it in a way that works for me so I can live my best life? Because food is there to support you living your best life. It's not here to be this thing that's always on your mind. It's not here to be this thing that you always have to think about and figure out, because then you're in worry.
Yeah, because I do enjoy food. We have a garden, and I love, I do have a real love of the whole, thing. It's
Yeah, so I think it's learning for you to relax more into self-care, and relax more into not having to have it be all or nothing. And being compassionate with yourself when you notice, I strayed a little bit from what I think is good for me, and now I find myself wanting to continue to go down that road. Okay, so that's a growing edge for you. So okay, I have that tendency. So let me watch for that. And let me see if I can make an adjustment. Okay, so I have the shortbread tonight. Let me make sure tomorrow that I'm aware of what I'm eating even more. As opposed to, oh my God, now I'm eating more junk food the next day. And it's the voice in us. I'm wanting the wise woman voice in you to be managing your relationship with food.
Yep, she's up for that job. Yep.
I like that. I like that for you.
Yeah.
Because, you know, at the end of the day, like I said, we really don't know what a perfectly healthy weight is for any human being. And therefore, I'm always judging health by how do I feel? Am I taking good care of myself? Am I listening to my body? Am I listening for feedback? Am I doing my best? And am I making sure that my mind is not contributing to ill health through self-punishment and perfectionism and self-attack? Because that's not going to work. Those can be worse than the worst foods.
Yeah. And I suppose then I have this how question, although I don't think it is, I think it's like a lot of things, I'm making it a bit more complicated. You know, I think, you know, my wise woman saying it doesn't have to be so complicated, you know, just let it go.
Yes. Yes. That's the voice to listen to. You can always tune into her. That's the person you want to be for the next, you know, 30, 40 years of your life. So a great way to start being that wise woman is to be that wise woman for you.
Yeah. It's lovely. Thank you.
Is to really give you your good counsel. Because then you're practicing what you're preaching, then you're doing what you know is true. And you're following your own guiding star. And that means trusting. We're not going to be perfectly healthy, you know, there's going to be the little things. And we don't know what life has in store for us, but you do your best. And then you don't worry so much about it. Do your best.
Yeah, if I could take away the worry of the last 60 years, wow. So I can take away the worry of the next 30 years. Yeah.
Exactly. It's never too late. And you'll be helping people who are, you know, young, and you might be able to help them let go of some worry that could have lasted decades.
Yeah.
So I think you have all the tools that you need, and they're very much inside you. And I'm just excited for you that you are tapped into the wise woman way and the wise woman path. And that means you give it to yourself.
That's lovely. It's really lovely. Thank you. One thing that's coming up for me is some of my teaching I'm doing increasingly on Zoom, and that's pretty confronting with my, you know, Qigong teaching with my, even standing up in front of a group and they're watching my body because I'm, you know, showing them what to do. That's where some of my, you know, I've had, because I didn't even know I had lipedema till about 4 years ago. I just thought I always had these big, unattractive legs, and now it's affecting my arms. So so I have this sort of feeling of that, you know, I've done lots of leading groups my whole life actually, and so I'm kind of used to this feeling of that I'm going to be judged, which I probably am, and that's fine. But how do I, you know, getting rid of that kind of anxiety in myself about you know, what I'm presenting. It feels like time, you know, I didn't have a very good princess kind of time. I feel like I kind of missed out on that. And so I think there's some vestiges of that, and it's time to let all that go, I think. Yeah.
You know, the thing about Qigong is that you don't have to have a particular body or body type
No.
to do that form of
Yeah.
movement and energy movement and exercise.
Yeah.
It's in fact, it transcends every age group and every body type. So
Yes.
there's something very beautiful about that, and there's something that in that you can really own. And to me, the wise man in you wants to say to the wise woman in you,
Yeah.
like, own your body when you're teaching.
Yeah.
Own it. Like,
Yeah.
this is me
Yeah.
doing this amazing form, doing this amazing practice that keeps me connected and keeps me healthy and keeps me tuned in. And just own it.
Mm.
Because
Yeah,
guess what? The most important people in your life love you.
yes, they do.
The most important people in your life are satisfied with your body. Nobody who cares about you is asking you to change your body.
No,
Love
no,
you.
no, that's right. Nobody is. Yeah, only me. Yeah.
And there's a beautiful teaching that you can impart as you own this body that you have.
Yeah.
And especially given that you're on video teaching
Yeah.
people and moving your body,
Yeah.
it's a great opportunity. And it's not always going to be easy, and it might be uncomfortable, but that's okay. You just move through
Yeah.
the discomfort and you breathe through it and you transmute that energy. And eventually it's just energy, that nervousness or that self-judgment or that fear. It's just energy
Yeah.
wanting to transmute itself into something useful.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I can see how that's already happening. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
And that can be an inspiration to a lot of people, because so many people are shy of movement because of their age or because of how they look or because of their mobility. And here you are, and you're doing a practice that welcomes everybody.
Yeah.
You could be in
Yeah.
a wheelchair, for goodness sakes, and do it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You can do it in your mind, even.
Yes, yes.
Still helpful. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I think you have all the tools that you need. And I think this is, the age 60 transition from the 50s, when we hit 60, I think it's a very powerful time where you really enter your wisdom phase.
Yeah, it really feels significant to me. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Had a lovely celebration. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the part of you that's hungering to express itself. And I think the more that part of you expresses itself, the healthier you'll be.
Yeah.
More self-care becomes natural to you. And the more the voice of the wise woman not only speaks to the people in your world, but it speaks to you. You feeling good about our conversation, Lee?
Very good. Very good. Yeah.
Me too. I just have a 1000% confidence that you're already helping people and you're already inspiring people. And I think it's just you're gonna see that happening more and more as you relax into, it's almost as if you're in a phase of life where you're giving it all away. You're just giving yourself.
Yeah.
And therefore you can't hold back when you give yourself, and here's me.
Yeah.
And what a beautiful thing to own your body at age 60.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great work, Lee.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being in this conversation.
It's wonderful. I'm really appreciative. I feel very blessed.
Me too. It's a conversation that matters, and I love it. And I really appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And take care, everybody.
Hey friends, we're so happy that you've joined us for another episode of The Psychology of Eating with Marc David. Are you loving these episodes? Then simply subscribe and you'll never miss an episode again. We'd also love it if you'd leave us a comment below so we can hear more about your own journey with food and body. And if you're curious about what we offer at the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, including our internationally acclaimed coach certification training that's rooted in dynamic eating psychology and mind-body nutrition, please head on over to our website, psychologyofeating.com. Until next time, take care. And remember, having the body you want starts with loving the body you have.